Hi, this is Team Trash with the inaugural episode of our new show, Trash Talk, where we talk about whatever we really feel like. This week, we're talking about Suicide Squad. General feelings, characters, plot, what we want from the sequel.
How it compares to Will Smith's masterpiece, Wild Wild West.
Mac,
And I'm John.
the first guest of possibly many.
Yeah, what is the first guest of what is hopefully to be a long and very lucrative series of web videos. So, sponsors, rich benefactors, celebrities, who
Wealthy
else?
weirdos.
Wealthy weirdos,
We'll take your money.
Patreon donors, people who want to throw money into a hat and watch me dance like one of those organ grinder monkeys.
People that are too afraid to burn money, but just feel like giving it away.
Yeah, hit us
We
up.
want all of you.
And we'll continue to produce
Semi-mediocre content.
fair
Step up from actual garbage.
fair to middling content for you to absent-mindedly listen to while you're doing the dishes or folding laundry,
If that, you're in prison watching this.
which is about as entertaining as Suicide Squad, which also involves people in prison. Is that a good enough segue? Is that smooth? Does that play?
It didn't stop. Why is it? This is where there was supposed to be intro music. And that didn't happen. And this video is already almost irrelevant. So we decided to post it anyways.
You hear that? That's the sound of the wolves that ate our ADR guy. The guy who was supposed to do the intro music. And the guy who was supposed to help us actually cut together clips of Suicide Squad into the video that you're about to watch. Arguably being mauled to death by wolves is probably about as enjoyable as watching Suicide Squad. So with that, let's get to it.
Do we have to re-record this?
let's hear how it sounds first.
Okay.
Was that our intro music?
Yeah. It's, I guess so.
Could have been worse. Could have been Insane Clown Posse.
Yeah, it could have. It wasn't. But,
I mean, speaking of Insane
That
Clown
was
Posse, how about that Joker? Let's dive right into this and address the neon green-haired, damage-tattooed elephant in the room, which is Jared Leto's performance. I mean, let's be honest, it's really more of a glorified cameo as the Joker.
It was bad.
Yeah, so
He was out of, how many? 4 live-action Jokers.
yeah, four. He's the fourth because we've had Cesar Romero's from the Adam West Burt Ward TV series, Jack Nicholson's Joker from the Tim Burton 89.
Yeah, that's
89 Batman. Heath Ledger's, of course, which is the one modern audiences are probably most familiar with, in the Nolan film, and most recently Jared Leto. So he's number 4. And it turns out fourth time is not the charm.
Yeah.
I always say to people when I'm discussing these roles, we have yet to have a bad live-action Joker. Every live-action Joker, I feel.
Have you seen Cesar Romero's Joker?
I have.
I've never seen it. I don't know anything about him as the Joker. All I know is he still had the mustache when they painted him, and that was the thing.
And what's great is that you have to look at the series for what it is, which is almost a straight adaptation of the sillier, goofier 1960s, 1970s Batman comics.
Okay.
And in that regard, he's pitch perfect. He's camp and he's way over the top, and he just fits that kind of couple of decades when comics were struggling under the Comics Code of Authority, where you had supervillains using things like, this is my, bubble gun, or, this is my...
And Batman can pull a solution out of his utility belt.
Yeah. He's got the bat shark repellent. Yeah, so...
Okay.
But this is the one that I feel has really failed to hit the mark. And I don't want to fault Leto, because I feel like for the most part, it's not his fault.
I want to fault Leto.
You want to... Really? I just feel like he didn't...
He chose to play the character that way. They gave him, lines, and maybe they told him that was okay, but that's how he decided to play the character, and I don't think he did a good job in any way. I mean, he was entertaining, and as far as, a modern take on the Joker to make him interesting by making him a gangster, that was a good idea. They did the similar thing with Nicholson in '89, he was kind of a gangster.
Yeah.
But they just took it into like a weird place. A lot of his lines, it feels like he's playing some kind of like he's growling. He's just weird and like he's creepier than he is like scary or like chaotic.
For me, it never, like you said, it never, ascended to anything more than just kind of this uncomfortable. It's not a criminal mastermind like Nicholson's Joker was. It's not this kind of suave, debonair gangster, and it's not like Ledger where it's this almost lone wolf not eco-terrorist, but lone wolf, Splinter Cell terrorist. It never transcends into this level of something more, and instead it's just kind of this guy that if he was sitting next to you on the bus,
you would leave the bus even if it wasn't your stop.
You'd want to get up and move 3 seats away or put your headphones in or pretend to be asleep or something, but you wouldn't see this guy and go like, this is the arch nemesis of the Batman. Like, this is the most dangerous criminal in Gotham City.
This is his son. This is the Joker. This is like the Joker's son, who's the Joker's spoiled, fucking rotten.
He's going through a rebellious phase. I'll show you, Dad.
He's really lazy too. He's not like he's just like a lazy villain. He doesn't really like do anything for himself. He has that guy there the entire time that like pretty much seems to lead the missions, and it's the Joker when he's not driving that crazy Lamborghini or shooting someone. He's just like laying around doing nothing. That's pretty much it.
And I feel like another point that's needs to be made is that he never feels threatening.
Mm-mm.
Like there's that scene where he's in the club room with Common's character, who's another character who's horribly underutilized, just wasted. And in that scene, like, I wasn't afraid for Common, I was more afraid for the Joker. I just don't buy, like, even for a minute, that this guy is able to climb the ranks of, Gotham's organized or unorganized crime, let alone go toe-to-toe with Batfleck's Batman, especially considering how brutal we've seen him being.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you never think of the Joker as someone that can physically take on Batman, just because that's not who his character is supposed to be, but you also think of him as someone who can hold his own in a fight. I didn't really think Leto's Joker could do that at all.
Yeah. He didn't seem particularly adept with firearms. I mean, he's spraying wildly, from the hip. He doesn't seem like any sort of criminal mastermind. I mean, if anything, it seems like he's got pages of the script. Like, he's reading through the director's notes or the screenplay and is like, oh, if I show up here, or I'm magically going to have a helicopter.
Yeah.
Or, like, I'm somehow going to be able to kick down the door to Belle Reve prison and get Harley. Like,
yeah.
All of Ledger's plans in The Dark Knight, like, you can see, like, they made sense and they had steps and these things needed to go right.
And it was, like, good planning, too. That first scene where they're robbing that bank.
Yeah.
And each of the guys is told to kill the other until there's just 2 of them left. Yeah. Like, that's wonderful planning. Yeah. Like, that's actual planning that he had to go through to do that.
If that was Leto's Joker, it would be the equivalent if we only saw the school bus scene. We see the Joker walking out of a bank with like 2 oversized bags of money, jumping onto a chain of school buses, and not even a chain of school buses. Like
it's one school bus.
A stretch Hummer.
It's
a lime,
but it has the stop sign that comes out and the door goes in.
Yeah,
but it's a party bus.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a neon green party bus.
That's the Joker we're dealing with. Kind of this kind of incoherent, like.
Oh, and he's not alone either. He's with that guy who solves all of his problems in this movie.
His like manservant or butler. He's like, Batman has Alfred. I need a butler too.
Pretty much, yeah. He's just a bad villain. He's unnecessary for the whole movie.
Yeah. So
I guess segueing though.
Yeah, setting that aside, talk about the squad itself.
Well, I was actually going to segue into Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn.
Okay, yeah.
Because they sort of go together in the sense that I feel like Leto's only reason for being there was to further her character and sort of move her along.
That's a fair point.
And even just to move along the plot a little bit.
It seems like he really did show up a lot as a Deus Ex Machina. kind of deal. Like the director's like, we need some reason why they can't just leave right now.
Yeah.
Or we need some reason, let's have the Joker show up and blow everything up and then leave.
Pretty much. And then die. Like, die. That's the only... Yeah, it's the only reason you really need him in there. Because then, he dies, and then Harley has to go back because she has nothing else. But I feel like if they hadn't put him in the movie, they just saved him. We were talking about this earlier. He could have been a post-credit where instead of him having been there the entire movie, he could have been there as a post-credit where he breaks Harley out of prison or out of Bel Rev instead of having that be how the movie ends. Yeah,
like, can you imagine how incredible the hype or the buzz would have been if the last shot is, like, the prison and you hear all these sirens going off and you come in and you see all the guards just strewn all around and you pan up to one of their faces and he's got that Joker rictus, he's got that Joker Venom smile, and then you hear Leto's laugh for the first time.
Oh, his laugh was bad too.
Although, it really
even
was.
I mean, Hamill has the best laugh, but even Ledger's was actually really good.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, I liked his laugh. It wasn't like, this is actually funny. It felt more like, maybe a way of, like, being condescending or just, like, making fun of the hero. Like,
this honestly, and this is the last I'm going to trash on the character because there's a lot more to talk about. He seemed like the Joker by way of Beavis and Butthead. Like, if you took Beavis and Butthead and dressed him up as the Joker, or you put the Joker in an episode of Beavis and Butthead...
That's what you get?
That's what you'd get.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, he wasn't good. Anyways, back to Margot Robbie, who, as the first live-action appearance of Harley Quinn, did a really good job, I have to say. I think a lot of the problems with her character weren't really her fault. They were a little more...
due to the writing, the screenplay?
Yeah, they came from the script and some of the dialogue she had to deliver.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think she was great. She really gave off, like, a lot of confidence in her role.
Yeah, I think she owned that role.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's the heart and soul of that movie. I think a lot of the scenes that could have been and probably should have been weaker, she carried, just on virtue of her presence alone on screen.
Yeah.
I think she added 2 or 3 points to my score of this movie just by herself.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be her and Will Smith as Deadshot, and I think in the end it really just kind of came down to her as like what brought this movie together.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think Will Smith's Deadshot. That's another thing for Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. It was pretty close to what we get in comics for Harley Quinn right now, which is pretty far off from what we got when she first started, but it's still stuck close to this version.
It's been fair to more contemporary treatments of it as well. Like, even looking at the animated Assault on Arkham, which came out, I believe, 2012, 2013. The Arkham games, Batman Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham City, and Batman Arkham Knight.
Pretty consistent.
The Harley that's in those games is very close to what we saw on screen.
Yeah, which was good. Like, it was good. She gave fans, I feel like, exactly what they could have expected and more from her role.
I think more importantly, just for her personally, I think she's demonstrated that she can carry a movie. She is not just a leading lady, but a leading actor who can carry, not just a movie, but a big summer tentpole on her shoulders, which I don't know of a lot of women in Hollywood who you could say that about right now.
It would be unfair to say that no one else in this ensemble cast helped,
true.
But she did a lot for this movie to carry it. Whereas I think Will Smith's Deadshot,
he was basically Will Smith playing Deadshot.
Yeah.
Which is a problem I have with almost all of his roles after Pursuit of Happiness, is that he's Will Smith playing a character.
Yeah, you can tell, like, he really put himself into the role, but at the same time, the role was nothing like it was supposed to be from the comics. in the sense that all they really took from it was he's a master marksman, a criminal, and he has a daughter who he loves. And that was pretty much it.
That's another thing that bothered me. So, for those of you who've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Early in the movie, when Will Smith's character is first apprehended, Affleck's Batman comes down and he's like, go quietly, don't put up a fight. I don't want to do this in front of your daughter. While he's standing right in front of his daughter. His daughter is right there.
She's already seen it.
Yeah, her daughter sees everything. Her daughter sees Will Smith get Batman knocks him on the ground, right?
He knocks him on the ground, and then he sees Will Smith pull a gun on Batman.
Yeah.
She sees all of that.
And then he gets arrested. And it's just this kind of same, not really rationally thinking Batman that we saw in Batman Superman.
It's like he got down there, was like, okay, cool, I missed his daughter, but because he was standing in front of the daughter.
It's it's very clear that Batman knows who Deadshot really is. He knows his secret identity. Mm-hmm. And so rather than turning him into the police or apprehending him later, chooses
Deadshot's weekend with his daughter.
Yeah. Chooses when Deadshot gets weekend custody of his daughter. That's what I'm going to get him.
Alright, speaking of that scene, though, it's one of the only times we see Will Smith in civilian clothes. It looks nothing like what we've seen Deadshot look like. Even the Deadshot from the Arrow show. So we've already had a live-action Deadshot. I don't know if you know that. But he was in the Arrow show.
Didn't we also have a live-action Harley Quinn, though? Just for a second?
We had a voice.
Oh, okay.
And that doesn't count.
Okay.
I don't think we even saw a face or skin. But we had a voice. So we've had live-action Floyd Lawton already. And that guy was pretty close. I can't remember if he had a daughter or not. It's not that important. But
his daughter's not even a motivating factor in this movie either. It's not like a Brian Mills from Taken where he's like, I gotta keep the world safe for my daughter. They're facing a world-ending threat, and at no point does he go, you know what? If the world ends, that might include my daughter
again.
There's a point, and I gotta give credit where it's due. Will Smith does act that scene very well, where he says something like, my daughter is not gonna think I'm a monster, or my daughter is not gonna think...
to say, he is a good actor.
Yeah.
He acts, the scenes he's in, he acts very well. Everything he does comes off very sincere. Even the really cheesy lines from the script that he has to deliver, and there are
quite a few. Suicide Squad. We the patsies.
Yeah, there are a lot of bad,
groan-inducing lines.
Yeah, but he delivers them well, and you got to respect that, I guess. But I mean, as far as where they pulled the source for the character from, they kind of missed the mark for that one, which is weird because they got a lot of the other characters spot on.
Yeah.
For instance, Jay Hernandez as El Diablo, that character's perfect.
He for me might have stolen the movie.
Yeah, he was great. All the lines that he had to deliver that needed to come off as sincere came off as sincere.
And for me, even more than Harley Quinn, I feel like he had the most complex, most engaging character arc.
I think he really did.
Yeah.
Honestly. In Will Smith, you're supposed to see him as this, bad guy doing bad things, and then he's put into this situation where he has to be a hero. But the problem is, he walks into that situation and already is, helping the army guys he's with.
It's almost like Will Smith's charisma is actually a detriment at this point. He's got so much star power and just so much presence that you just look at him and you think oh, this is that funny guy from Men in Black. This is that guy that I watched in The Pursuit of Happiness where he's super nice and good with his kid. You're not able to say, this is a bad guy.
Yeah, you see him do one bad thing in the movie. Yeah. That's it. The rest of the time, he's kind of being a hero.
Yeah.
He's helping. You never really believe that he's a bad guy.
And I think that goes for a lot of the members of the squad as well. They never really are as bad as they could be or should be.
Yeah, Harley's really not I mean, like, she sort of crosses them, but even then, she's really not as bad as
Yeah.
she could be. Honestly, the reason I think I like El Diablo so much is because his character is a bad guy.
Yeah.
Like,
And
and he knows his character is a bad guy. So the redemption he has at the end feels that much more powerful.
They don't cover it up with quips or with one-liners. He's got this very good monologue where he's doing that thing with the cup over the
flaming.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good.
This is a man who, because he loved power and because he loved his position as like a gang member, burned his own family to death in his own home.
Yep.
And
killed the woman he loved.
He doesn't sugarcoat it. Like, he has accepted it.
Oh, his part in that movie is so good.
And I wish there was more like that.
Yeah. The weird thing is, like, everyone pretty much gets, like, the little piece of backstory. Even El Diablo. You know who doesn't get it? Killer Croc.
Killer Croc doesn't get any...
Doesn't get it. You just find out, like, oh yeah, the Bat chased him out of Gotham. It's like, well, why not just show us Batfleck in the sewers, like, chasing him around? Like, it would take 30 seconds. You could show us that thing. You could show us Batfleck throwing, like, battering after battering at Killer Croc. Like, whatever. That's fine. At least that's something. But we didn't get any of that. We have no backstory for Killer Croc. And the fact that his character design is terrible. He looks awful.
Really? I would agree. I hated it when I saw production stills, and I hated it when I saw the trailer. It's not great. I'll give that to you. But
yeah.
I feel like it's much better looking in the actual film itself. And I think it's because when you see it in motion, when he really sells those more reptilian movements, it looks better.
You know what the thing is that someone pointed out to me after the movie is that he looks like a bobblehead. You ever think... His head is huge!
Have you seen the Super Mario Brothers movie from the 1990s with Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo?
No.
He looks like a Goomba from that movie. Viewers, do yourself a favor. Look up the Super Mario Brothers movie from the 1990s with John Leguizamo. Sid the Sloth plays Luigi. And the Goombas look like Killer Croc. It's pretty funny. But even like Katana, I feel like the thing is, like, the characters that I want to know more about, and it's just frustrating because, like, you don't get that. Like, Katana with her soul-stealing katana sword, like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Captain Boomerang is just such a scumbag, and, like, I gotta give credit to Jay Courtney. Like, that's I still don't think he can act.
No, you know he can't, and you know why? Because throughout the movie, he can't hang on to his Australian accent.
Yeah.
It just fades in and out, where, like, it's clearly obvious he doesn't have an accent.
Where is he from, though? I could have sworn he was Australian.
He might be. If he is, that's even sadder. I don't know why he can't hold on to the Australian accent. And it's, like, it's not a great Australian accent either. It's like someone trying without practice to have an Australian accent.
It's like a drunk frat boy attempting an Australian accent to impress a girl because he thinks
that's what you want.
Dig guys with accents. Chicks dig Australians, mate. It's like if the dude who does the voiceovers for Outback got plastered.
And they let him play a hero. They let him play a villain in a superhero movie.
Yeah.
He's still good. He's still a really great part of that movie.
Yeah.
The amount he's in it is perfect.
Yeah. Although I feel like there's a real missed opportunity where they don't have his boomerangs come back at all. They don't have his boomerangs actually boomerang. Yeah, that's
true.
And the scene that stuck out the most to me is at the climax where, spoilers, you have Enchantress, like, with the knives at his throat, and he throws the boomerang right before she knocks him to the ground with the knives at his throat. Mm-hmm. And I forget who it is comes and saves him. It's either Katana or Killer Croc. But, like,
that's Katana. That
would have been a perfect opportunity to have the boomerang swing back and hit her in the back of the head.
Yeah, that would have been great.
You have the whole movie where he's throwing them and they don't come back. And, like, that could have been a running joke.
It does have to be heavy, too. Like, he's just running out of boomerangs.
He's throwing them and they don't come back. And then the very last one, when it matters most, it comes back.
I guess also another great character was Is it Viola or Viola?
I think it's Viola.
Okay, Viola Davis as
Amanda Waller.
Amanda Waller. She was great.
Whoa!
She plays a character that you're supposed to hate, and she plays it really well. You by the end of the movie, you hate that character, and you have every reason to. But she plays it well. She really sells it. She does a great job in that movie.
And I almost wish that she was the Nick Fury of these movies, and that she would be the one who is bringing everybody together. It looks like, it looked like at the end of Batman Superman, and with the post credits at the end of this movie, it's almost a certainty that it's going to be Bruce Wayne who's the character who's bringing.
Well, now we
together.
know it's Bruce Wayne because of the Justice League trailer. Yeah.
Which, check out our Trailer Trash. We've got another video. Trailer Trash is a shorter series of videos where we watch a trailer and then basically ramble incoherently like we're doing right now for a shorter amount of time.
It's been 20 minutes. We should move on.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you want to talk about next?
Maybe what we wish faults with the movie, or
just general thoughts.
General thoughts,
I guess. All right. General thoughts. This movie could have benefited from the extra half hour that it didn't have,
and I would say an R rating, if not a hard R rating. I don't want to see Harley Quinn's breasts. I don't want to see Joker dropping F-bombs every 2 minutes.
I don't want to see Joker Harley Quinn sex scene.
Yeah. I want to see these guys doing bad things. I want to see...
More swearing would have helped, though.
Swearing would have helped. It just feels
just
weird
like a Deadpool R.
Yeah.
Like where it's a little more gruesome.
People get shot and blood splatters.
They swear and they don't really have to worry about it. That would be great.
Yeah.
I think
because for a gang of hardened super criminals, these guys have cleaner mouths than your average middle school gym class.
Yeah, considering we got the...
They don't even use the single F-bomb, do they? They're allowed a single F-bomb for a PG-13 movie, they don't use it.
Yeah, considering we got the Ultimate Edition of Batman v Superman that's rated R, and we got blood spatter when Batman throws a wooden crate at a guy and his head smashes into a wall.
Smushes like a grape.
We get blood splatter and drag as his body falls to the ground. Like, if Batman v Superman, a movie with, first off, two heroes that are supposed to never kill, we should get that with heroes that are supposed to kill all the time because they're bad people. Going
back even further, like Dark Knight, you see the Joker shove a pencil through a guy's eye. You see these really harsh moral dilemmas of like...
You know what the other thing is? When Will Smith does that trick shot to shoot that guy in the back of the head, there's not even like a pool of blood that comes out. There's no pool of blood, but they show the guy dead and just lying there. Like, he might as well have been using beanbag rounds.
He tripped.
Yeah, he tripped over his own shoelace.
He smacked his head real hard on the ground. He had a brain aneurysm that Will Smith popped.
He had a minor concussion. He fell asleep and died.
So my impression of this movie is that it would be a fantastic superhero movie if the year was 1998.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen all of this stuff that's come after.
Yep.
It's been a long time since I've seen a superhero movie that was so intent on undermining its own premise. To give you a little background for those of you who aren't familiar with the characters, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because this is really more your strength than mine. It's basically the idea is the U.S. government assembles a group of...
Amanda Waller.
Amanda Waller assembles a group of super criminals to conduct black ops, basically, for the government. Dirty jobs, wet work.
That can be unconnected to the government.
Yeah. And it usually entails, like, extra legal things, immoral things. And so why that's a problem here is because there's no reason why Waller would need to employ the squad. The threat doesn't match the squad. You've got a potentially, as we learn later, world-ending threat where you see, cosmic bolts of lightning cutting aircraft carriers in half and blowing up skyscrapers, and you got a ring of trash that you can see.
And only one of the guys has superpowers.
That's another point. Yeah. You see, stuff that you can see halfway across the city.
It's like the Justice League, except almost every member is Batman, and the only hero you have is... not even Aquaman. Because I think he at least has strength. I think maybe the only hero you have is like the Flash.
Yeah.
That's it.
But you have a potentially world-ending threat, and you're trying to use a covert Black Ops team? Like...
You don't know, it's Guy Gardner. Yeah, that's the only hero you have. That's how that works.
Booster Gold.
Yeah, that's perfect, yeah. It's like having the Justice League, except your only hero is Booster Gold, and every member is like Ted Kord's Blue Beetle.
But it's like the cat is already out of the bag. When you have cosmic bolts of lightning raining down on Earth, and aircraft carriers being cut in half, and a huge ring of trash visible for 100 miles, like, there's no covering that up. Like,
No.
And if the world's really in danger, don't send in an untested D-list group.
Okay, you already have Batman and the Flash in this movie. They know about these villains. They should know that this stuff is going on. Like, they should know that this is world ending. The news reported this. Someone tweeted about it, and they saw it. Like, it appeared to one of them, and they just, I guess, decided not to show up.
Yeah. Another thing that bothered me is that there were several scenes that seemed like they were cribbed from other better superhero movies. The train scene with the Enchantress straight out of the first Hellboy. The scene where El Diablo burns the guys in prison, which first of all, they cut to that.
That looks so bad.
It looked like something that we would make screwing around with Adobe After Effects.
Oh, that's another problem. Some of the effects are inconsistent. Yeah. Some of them look incredible, and some of them look like just D-list YouTube garbage.
Everything involving, I think the delineation is right along the lines of practical versus digital, where all of the practical effects, all of the costumes, all of the makeup, Killer Croc being the exception, is fantastic.
Even he looks okay.
Yeah. All the digital stuff, though, we're talking like, remember those really...
A lot of what Enchantress does is okay.
I love her character design. I love that transformation where the hand comes out from under the sleeve and grabs it, flips it.
Oh, that's so neat.
That might be my favorite part of the movie.
That's such a good like just character transformation. Yeah. That's incredible. Yeah. Oh man, I wish we saw a little bit more of that. That was
all of the digital effects. Like if you've seen the Sam Worthington Clash of the Titans, Wrath of the Titans, which you shouldn't because they're terrible. Like, those are the digital effects we're dealing with.
Yeah, they're really...
Like,
all of El Diablo's effects look like trash.
Yeah, especially that prison scene.
And it's weird. This movie didn't have a budget of less than, like, $50 million. No. I'm going to say it probably had double that.
Yeah, most of it probably went to Will Smith, though. Will Smith and Jared Leto.
And advertising. Even still, like, that's such... if Deadpool can do like a huge movie, didn't it make like $1 billion?
I don't think it crossed $1 billion, but it made, I think, pretty close.
Okay, because I think it made at least like I want to say close to like 10 times its budget. Like if it can do that, and its budget was like what, 10 million?
Yeah,
it was like a cheap budget, and it looks great.
Yeah,
there's no excuse not to do. Like,
because
not to match that.
That scene in the prison, they show it like 3 times, and first of all, like he's like, I was in the middle of a riot, and then they cut to that scene, and there's like 12 guys.
Yeah, it's not a riot.
It's the smallest, most polite prison riot, and nobody's attacking him.
No, he's got like standing in the middle. He's fine.
He's got a clear ring of like 12 feet in every direction around him, and he's like, I guess I'll use my...
Oh my God.
And that right there, they're cribbing again from the first Hellboy with Liz Sharon.
You know what the problem is, though? The fact that... Wasn't that after he was arrested? Like, after he surrendered and turned himself in?
I honestly have no idea.
Because I thought that... I thought that was supposed to take place after he was turned in. Which makes no sense as to why he's using his powers. If it's supposed to be after he was turned in, and that's how they discovered him, because let's say this. Let's say he turns himself in the middle of that house fire. He was untouched by the flames. People are like, okay, whatever, you got lucky. But you killed these people, you're going to jail. So, they bring him to jail. He's in the middle of a riot. But he's surrendered. He's turned himself in. He's killed his family. He's vowed. Yes. So what? And he uses his powers and then does the thing where it says like he has like the crown on in the middle of the prison. That's wrong. That's wrong. You know what it should be? So he's in the middle of a riot. Some guy's beating the shit out of him because he refuses to fight back, and his powers just go off.
He gets knocked out. Like
there
the
you
Sherman
go.
and Hellboy.
There you go. And his
And
powers
that's-
just fucking set themselves off
that's
as like
when-
a form of self-defense.
Yeah, that's when they just he does something, like he starts glowing super hot or something, and you don't see what that something is. You just know that something happened.
Yeah.
And then later at the end of the movie, when he transforms into the big fire demon, you realize that that's what that something was.
Okay, yeah, that works way better than this because this doesn't. It's unclear when that happens, and if it happens in the timeline you think it happens in, then it's a poor character arc. Like it's just shitty. That's bad writing.
Yeah,
honestly,
and it's bad writing that the two of us who saw the movie paid pretty close attention. Don't know what the timeline is supposed to be.
Yeah,
Don't know
it's
which
not
one's
clear.
a flashback.
And in 2 minutes, we wrote a better, a better way for that to go.
Yeah. Other criticisms.
Like I said earlier, it could have benefited from an extra half hour.
Yeah.
In that half hour, you add another mission, even if it's just Deadshot and Harley Quinn. You add that extra. It's Deadshot, Harley Quinn, Enchantress, and Rick Flag. So they all know each other. It changes up how the movie works for sure. Unfortunately, but then they know what they're dealing with Enchantress. They have some sort of rapport with her, and they understand why Rick Flag loves her. They understand that something's going on. They don't know exactly who Enchantress is, but they see Rick Flag sort of paying closer attention to her, and it sets up some sort of relationship. And then later, when J. Courtney sends Slipknot off to his death,
Which
you could have them say like,
is another scene that
we
I
know that,
absolutely
or even
love.
oh, you know what you could
If
do?
more of the movie had been like that, I would have much more positive things to say overall.
You know what you could do? Hear me. It would change up. It would change up the movie a little more. But you have Slipknot in with them in that mission where it's just the four of them. He goes off on his own, kills himself because of the bomb, and then they meet Jay Courtney, and he tries to tell Deadshot like, "Hey mate, like this isn't real. Like we can just run." And Deadshot's like, "Nah, it's real. Like I've seen it kill a guy. It's real." And he's like, "You can run off if you want. Like, go for it. You're an idiot." And he's just like, "I'm not gonna do it. I'm fine." Like, you could just have him back off because he's kind of a pussy.
What would have been a sick scene, and I just thought of it, is Deadshot's like master marksman, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a scene where the bomb is about to detonate in somebody's neck. Maybe Harley's, maybe somebody else's. Will Smith, as Deadshot, fires a bullet through the throat, missing all vital arteries and everything, nicks the detonator, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they got a bleeding throat wound, so they're incapacitated, but he saves them. And
That would've been cool.
that's one of those moments where you see it in the theater, you're like, no way. It's like when you see Vin Diesel fly through the air after he single-handedly dismantles a tank in Fast
so
6.
Dumb. I hate that. So he should have had massive internal bleeding, and he was fine.
Yeah.
The movie has problems. All in all, though, I will say that it was a step up from Batman v Superman.
I would agree,
Because I
but
think it delivered a lot more than Batman v Superman did.
I think if only because it didn't have as far to fall.
Yeah, that's true.
My expectations were as high, and so when they weren't met, it wasn't as big of a deal.
So, something I want to ask. So, with the soundtrack, I appreciated that they went out and got songs that sort of fit the movie and that were fun and that added to the experience, but at the same time, I thought they went a bit overboard.
I agree.
That the soundtrack was actually pretty distracting at times.
I feel like that whole introductory sequence, which should have been the funnest part of the movie, didn't work because it was...
Everyone had their own song.
Yeah, and it got to the point where it's like, okay, we've seen it 12 times. And I've seen direct-to-DVD movies that handle this beautifully. You remember The Losers that came out a couple years ago?
Yeah.
That handled this...
that movie was good.
This Suicide Squad is basically the crappier version of The Losers. The Losers did several years ago what the Suicide Squad could have improved upon. Like, but I agree about the soundtrack. I think it's a great soundtrack. I think it's a great collection of works. Like,
Yeah.
I can see myself.
It all fits really well. As like I said, like it was surprising how well it all fit.
It's great as something that you set aside and listen to separate from the movie. Like, I might even buy it and then pop it in. You know, listen to it when I'm driving or whatever. But in the context of the movie, maybe not so much.
Yeah, I feel like if there are times when it makes more sense to have like original score because it's less distracting.
Yeah.
But if it's good, it can still be iconic and something you listen to.
Especially if it's things like Fortunate Son, which we have heard ad nauseum in film.
Yeah.
You know, you hear that guitar riff and, you know, I ain't no fortunate, and it's like, okay, like, here we go again.
Yeah. I think this movie, it was too flashy, and I think the flashy made it distracting. And you can see it.
Flashy.
You can see it everywhere in the movie, from the way Floyd Lawton dresses.
You mean like
when he's not in costume?
Like a pimp from the 1970s?
Yeah, pretty much, with the giant hat and everything.
The big fur coat. And
from the way Harley looks pretty much all the time, to even the way that Deadshot's guns look. You can see how flashy the movie is. And it just gets to the point where it's kind of too much.
You can be all style and no substance, but your style has to look good.
Yeah.
Like, this is like if I were to do all style and no substance, but I pulled up my style from like 1970s, you know, Euro pop, and I show up wearing some obnoxious combination of bell bottoms and deep Magnum PI V-necks.
Yep.
To a wedding. And like that's the
your
style
conservative cousin's wedding.
Yeah, my yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So those are a lot of the problems with the movie.
You want to talk about what we liked? It's a short list.
Yeah, it is.
Shouldn't take long.
It's a short list. To start, one of my favorite parts was Captain Boomerang getting captured by the Flash.
Yes.
Our first look. I'm gonna count it as our first look because Batman v Superman doesn't count.
It's our first
the QuickTime video of the Flash doesn't count.
Man bun man.
Yeah.
World's fastest man bun.
World's fastest homeless man. Yeah, it was good. His character was actually really enjoyable in the little bit we saw of him. And so was Batman. Batman in the movie was great. He was really, like, they didn't overuse those little cameos, and I really appreciated that. Also, again, I'm going to say El Diablo it's really kind of stole the movie. He was a great part of the whole thing.
Yeah. I appreciate how, when it did work, the ensemble bits were actually pretty good. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the Will Smith, Margot Robbie show like I was afraid it was going to be going into it.
It was close though.
It was pretty close,
but it wasn't. It wasn't entirely that, which is good.
Character design, I really want to highlight Katana, and then the super powerful form of Enchantress, where she's just the witch.
Yeah,
those are probably my two favorite costumes. All of the costumes, though, even the Joker,
really good.
You can argue with the concept underlying his design, but you can't argue that the design itself was extremely well implemented for what it was. For what it was, it looked great.
Everyone looked really good in their costumes. Their costumes were all really interesting, not like crazy choices that didn't fit either. I thought Captain Boomerang in the movie was good, really entertaining. He did exactly what he was supposed to, which was add a little bit of just like scummy comic relief in what was I feel like what was supposed to be a funnier movie. He was supposed to like sort of break it up a little bit. And
supposedly there were two competing cuts before it screened for. So it's going to be interesting to see which of those cuts we saw. If this cut was actually the darker cut.
God, I hope not.
Yeah.
If this is the darker cut, no, because it should have been way darker.
Something tells me we're going to see a hard R far more somber.
So the thing is, it's also been announced that we're not going to get an extended cut, which I feel like this is a movie where you need the extended cut.
On one hand, I respect that decision because it's like it's
We're
Warner
proud
Brothers.
of what we have
it's
here.
Warner Brothers saying we're going to stick with what we got,
Which is what they should have done with
Yeah.
Batman v Superman.
Yeah,
But this is
it's
It's
necessary.
the awful thing where a movie that doesn't really need the extended cut gets the extended cut, and a
Yeah.
movie that would benefit so much from getting an extended cut isn't going to get one.
Yeah.
It's like how
Although
Marvel isn't doing Origins really anymore.
Yeah.
Right when Doctor Strange would have been a
Although,
great time to get a good origin.
I gotta say, just from the trailer, I feel like I've got a pretty good idea what his origin is going to be.
Yeah. I think you're still going to see some origin,
I feel
but
like
it's not going to be origin.
It's going to be a
focused.
soft origin where we're not going to spend 45 minutes before he gets out of Nepal.
Which is depressing, though. His origin's so fun.
Yes. Yeah.
But this is a Suicide Squad review.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie would really benefit from the extended cut.
Yeah. Although I gotta say, at just over 2 hours long, I feel like very little actually happens.
Yeah, it moves very fast, not in the best way.
Yeah. There's a lot of wheel spinning, and I feel like it's very it's front loaded, but at the same time very inefficient.
Yeah.
Where what could have been established with a very quick montage set to one or two songs,
Mm-hmm.
you instead take 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And cut. It's
The one thing I will say, the action sequences and the fights are pretty well choreographed. They're pretty good, pretty entertaining, like interesting to watch.
I agree for certain characters.
I think honestly, it's weird. In this, Deadshot's whole thing is he's supposed to be the master marksman, and he's fighting all of these guys that seem to need to be taken out by more than one bullet, making his power ineffective and kind of unnecessary.
And it's a weird point of fact that these zombie clay monsters, or whatever you want to call them, can withstand a million shots from Will Smith's character, but then are felled by a baseball bat to the face.
Yep.
Or a boomerang.
Yeah. It's just very inconsistent.
And I think that goes for the whole movie too. I haven't seen a superhero film this inconsistent since The Spirit, which is similar to Suicide Squad in another way, in that the narrative just kind of expects you to roll with it, to the nth degree, where it's like Samuel L. Jackson is going to show up dressed as a Nazi and melt this kitten. Sure, like Jared Leto is going to show up like in a helicopter and shoot everybody.
Wearing a tuxedo?
Wearing a tuxedo? Okay. Like,
it's crazy to me that he doesn't hit any of them. One of them should have been hit.
Yeah.
Didn't have to die, but I don't know. They just should have been hit.
That right there, the Joker attacks like 3 times, right?
Yeah.
Nobody gets hurt.
Yeah.
It's odd.
Yeah. I don't. There are problems. It's still like we were saying, it does go by fast and it feels like nothing happens, but that isn't the worst thing. Like, it just feels like it goes by quick. The 2 hours is over, but I think it's
definitely not a slog like parts of Batman Superman were to get through.
I can't wait to see what, at the very least, the deleted scenes for this movie are going to look like.
Yeah.
I think, because apparently there's way more Joker scenes, which I don't want, but I think I think we need more from the other characters besides Deadshot and Harley Quinn. I think the villain for this movie should have been different. So much about this kind of needed to be changed. They had a lot riding on this movie, and it didn't do, I think, what it needed to do.
So maybe close with like one piece of advice for Warner Brothers DC Universe moving forward.
We could. You don't want to talk about sequel?
So, yeah, why don't we talk sequel? And we could incorporate the advice in there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay. So for sequel, what I'd like to see is same cast, 1 or 2 new members that aren't just going to be cannon fodder. If you're going to put a character in there, make it matter. You've had your fun with Slipknot being cannon fodder.
Mm-hmm.
Take the time, dig deeper into your library if you have to.
It actually would have been one last thing. It would have been cool to see how Slipknot was captured. Make him
or
matter
what
before
he did.
Yeah, make him matter before.
I have
think
no
they
idea
mentioned
what he did.
They mentioned in like
Something
a
with
sort of
ropes,
one-off way
right?
that he can either. I think he can climb anything, and I think that was it. It's like a one-off, like one line. You can barely hear it, and they're like, yeah, you can climb anything, and it's like, oh, okay. It's not clear what he does, but yeah, okay, fine. If you had at least shown how he got captured, then it would have mattered when he died. Because you see him die and it's like, okay.
It's like, haha, okay.
Cool.
You laugh and you shrug your shoulders.
I guess Jack Courtney's a dick. I don't know. Cool, man. That's great.
But yeah, I think new characters added to your cast, smaller, more intimate threat, and you embrace kind of the darkness and the moral murkiness of these characters. Have them be doing things that are, if not outright morally questionable, kind of a moral gray area. Have them do things where you're questioning, like, these are bad guys, why am I rooting for them?
Yeah, well, that is kind of a problem that the movie had, where even in the beginning, one of the first things Will Smith's Deadshot does is question, like, were these people that we just killed? Like, with the guys, he's like, were these people? And everyone else is like, who cares?
Yeah.
But he's like, were these people leading you to believe, like, he's really not a bad guy?
Even though he kills people for money.
Yeah, it's just so, his character's wildly inconsistent from what it's supposed to be. So fix that in the next one. Make characters what they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like a great addition to this cast, considering Aquaman's getting a solo movie, Black Manta. Instead of killing Black Manta at the end of Aquaman, you could even fake his death or have Amanda Waller get him and bring, like, at the edge of death and have him saved and be like, I fucking own you now. She implanted the neck bomb when she was saving his life, and now he works for Task Force X. How cool would that be? Also, Catman. Because in Gail Simone's Secret Six, his, like, friendship with Deadshot is so much fun. They're basically, like, best friends who go and, like, do morally questionable shit for money. It's awesome.
If I could also take a note from, what's his name? Guillermo del Toro's playbook for Hellboy 1 and 2. Ditch Joel Kinnaman's character. Nothing against Joel Kinnaman. I think he did an excellent job as Flag.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think you need the everyman kind of introduction to this world. Like, have enough faith in your cast of characters and the weirdness of your premise that we're not going to need generic action guy number 5,832. Like, do the same thing that Del Toro did with Hellboy 1 and 2, where Myers is in 1. The second one, he's mysteriously transferred to Antarctica.
All you have to say is
he and Enchantress, right?
He and Enchantress ran off, or you could say he didn't agree with the way Waller did things.
Yeah.
And he left. But these guys don't have a choice.
Problem solved. Cleared up 2 spots right there on the roster.
There you go.
Yeah.
All
right, you want to do a final rating?
Yeah, final rating.
Out of 10 this time, maybe?
Yeah, out of 10 works. Out of 10. All right, 10 fucking trash cans. What do you got?
I would say this is a 4 out of 10 trash cans.
Really?
This movie's not going to kill you, but it's going to hurt you very, very badly.
Jeez,
you see what I did there?
That was good. I'm going to say 5.5, 6. Because I'll go watch it again, honestly. It didn't
in theaters?
Maybe. If I can get in for free or for very cheap. I'll go see it again in theaters. But didn't let me down as bad as Batman v Superman did. And it's fun. It's a fun 2 hours. Like, I don't think you're going to regret going to see this movie. That's the thing. And I think that's pretty important to remember. You're not going to regret going to see this one. It shouldn't make you all that mad, because going in, you shouldn't have had super high expectations to begin with. There's not a lot.
It's the moral of the story,
there's not a lot riding on this movie.
Keep your expectations
Warner Brothers,
real low.
There was a lot, and I think the criticism it's getting from critics, like what was it at, like a 36% or something?
Like that. I've
On
read
Rotten Tomatoes,
multiple-
first off, that's insanely low. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be that low, but yeah, Warner Brothers had more writing on this than we did. The only record it broke is highest box office weekend in August, and that,
Congrats,
when you say
guys.
it out loud, isn't impressive. So, yeah,
All right, till next time. This has been Trash Talk.
with Team Trash. Bye, guys.